One's ready. Go!
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the One's Ready podcast. This is your daily drop for the 14th of March, brought to you by Hoist. Head over to drinkhoist.com, use the promo code One's Ready. It's a one-time use, but if you've already used up that code and you've already gotten your discount, then you can find them in any kind of Safeway, Kroger, HEB, commissary, Walmart's. They're everywhere, right? So go check them out, try them out. They've been a partner with us since day one. Plus, they've been sending out free stuff, like free 50 free, out to some of our Guardian Grit, One's Ready, Taylor Starch operator training summits. So massive shout out to them. Appreciate everything you guys do. Drinkhoist.com, promo code One's Ready. All right, on to the news. This is your joint news. And like I've said in the past, this is the news that is sent out to all the commanders and the chiefs, that is curated by public affairs. So that's the topics of the discussion. I haven't read any of them yet. So you'll get real-time reactions and we'll go from there. And I'm just going to give you a quick synopsis of it and my opinion. So joint news. Pentagon plans for Panama Canal. Defense Secretary tasks the DoD with credible military options to secure the U.S. access to the Panama Canal. Per a Thursday memo, the directive overriding the 2022 strategy targets migration, trafficking, and crime, coordinating with the DHS on deportations. SecDef urges NATO to lead Europe's defense and Ukraine's arming, with the focus of with the U.S. focusing on nuclear deterrence. Listen, we should have never gave up the Panama Canal. It was U.S. owned, and the fact that we just like handed it over, like, yeah, that's all right, we don't need it. Just the most important freaking canal that connects two bodies of water. Like, yeah, sure, we don't need that. We don't need to control that. So we let somebody else come in and fuck it all up. So yeah, course correcting on that, if you will. So it's a good thing, in my opinion. Budget cuts with the FY or the fiscal year 26 requests. DoD leaders will propose spending cuts alongside the FY26 budget request. Fiscal year 2026, for those that you don't know, and the fiscal year goes from the 1st of October until the 30th of September. So it crosses over 2 years. So I don't know. I don't get it. It's not a calendar year, though. Anyway, responding to the March 5th letter from the HASC's leaders, Representative Mike Rogers and Adam Smith seek to divest outdated programs and streamline acquisitions. The move aims to boost efficiency in the military spending. Yes, let's be efficient. Let's streamline acquisitions, but let's not make stupid decisions by doing to what General Deptula says, taking a salami cut of just everything. We need to take the time to be very particular and specific and objective in what we cut. The difficult part of that is everybody's got their own little bubble, their little thing that their fiefdom that they think they need to protect. Whereas if they can take a step back and go, man, as much as I like this, as much as this is awesome, is that investment and that cost and that blood, sweat, and tears, is it making America a more lethal and ready force? If the answer to that's no, then it needs to be shook hand. Office of Net Assessment cut. Secretary Pete Hegseth is dismantling the Office of Net Assessment. I've never heard of this office. The Office of Net Assessment? Reassigning staff to priority roles per a leaked memo. The office, known for long-term strategic studies, will be rebuilt within 30 days to align with Hegseth's goals. Critics like Senator Chuck Grassley question its value and past waste. Dudes, I've been in for 25 years, recently retired. Obviously, you guys know that. And I have never heard of the Office of Net Assessment. So I'm going to look it up here on Grok. What is the Office of Net Assessment? Let's see what this bad boy says. ONA is part of the United States Department of Defense that focuses on long-term strategic analysis established in 1973. Oh my gosh, it's long. How about this? Give me a quick blurb about what it is or does. I mean, that's a massive definition it just gave me. All right. Office of Net Assessment is the Pentagon's think tank that conducts long-term strategic analysis for the U.S. Department of Defense. It assesses the military balance between the U.S. and the potential adversaries, projecting future trends and challenges in national security by examining capabilities, technologies, and broader factors like economics and politics. Essentially, it helps the Secretary of Defense prepare for tomorrow's threats, not just today's. Okay. I mean, you do need people to think about the future. When you have people that are thinking about the present, like if you think about, if you're in a joint environment, if you guys don't know the numbers for the staff, your A1, your J1, J2, J3, and stuff like that, like it wouldn't hurt you to go research those and understand what they are. But like if your J33 is current operations and your J35 is future operations, but when I say future operations, they are 5 meters, 10-meter targets. But then you have other directorates that work on very far future plans and acquisitions. Like I imagine that's what these guys are doing. But I don't know. I never heard of it before. Standards review ordered. Secretary of Defense orders a swift review of fitness, body, and grooming standards across all branches. He insists on maintaining a lethal force, good to go, citing past relaxations like women in combat roles as weakening standards. The Space Force tracks workouts while the Army tests broader fitness metrics. Yeah, so yes, I 100% agree with this. What's funny about the Space Force is they actually issue watches, not Apple watches like this, right? But they issue these kind of I don't know if they're Garmin or Sunto or what, but they track your HRV, your steps, your heart rate, your sleep, and all that kind of stuff, and that's what they use as their fitness kind of assessment. What I don't know, because they were established in 2019, they've only started using those in the last couple of years. So what I don't know is, are they effective? Are they a fit fighting force? Like, I don't know. Granted, they're not going to be picking up rifles and going doing stuff, but you still got to look professional in your uniform. Taking care of yourself now will help you perform mentally and physically better, if you're moving around satellites or whatever it is. Or it also helps with costs with the VA as you get out. If you take care of yourself now, that is less cost to the taxpayer later on down the road. Arlington web pages dropped. Arlington Cemetery removes web pages on Black, Hispanic, and woman veterans plus Medal of Honor history. The content included lesson plans awaits updates to comply with Trump's anti-DEI orders. Historian Kevin Levin calls the effort disorganized. Yeah, any kind of massive thing like this is going to be disorganized, just like the Tuskegee Airman thing got axed. And this kind of goes to that whole point of you can't just do, control F, find and replace with all this stuff. You actually have to take the time to go through each and every single thing, which is a good thing, but you have to take through. Now, I did do a members only live, just so you know, about my thoughts on deleting things. And I'm interested to see what Trent and Aaron have to say, but my 2 cents real quick, because I know this is the news, is I don't necessarily know that we need to go through and delete things. Like, I don't think that it was right that we got rid of some of the statues from Confederate generals. I don't think that it was right that we renamed any kind of bases like Fort Bragg. Because, and just like I don't think that we should go back through and delete and erase or hide or archive things that were on social media posts from official pages, because I think that that time in history, we should be able to go back to that. Now, granted, you got the Wayback Machine and people take screenshots, so that stuff still exists, but I think that you can go through and you can see the year. Oh, well, look at that. 2022, there was a lot of DEI stuff. Like, wow, they were really promoting X, Y, and Z. Just like it'd be great to be able to go to, 2030, right? When that is now in the past, when 2030 is now in the past, and be able to go like, hey, wow, look at this thing. We tried that, or this thing was going on. Like it's almost an unofficial history book. So that's just my 2 cents. Longer Korea tours. We actually talked about that the couple weeks ago. Uh, the U.S. Okay, plans to 2-year family tours in South Korea to boost quality of life, says Colonel William Parker. The shift from Yongsan to Camp Humphreys has outdated the 1-year norm. Colonel Aaron Lummer notes added stability and cultural benefits for families. Yeah, I, you know, I don't know what I know. It's going to save the Air Force a lot of money and the Army a bunch of money. I don't necessarily know that that is the right answer, though. Just in the way that there's a lot of people that use Korea for just like, oh man, I need to get basic preference on the way back. Let me go do a short tour in Korea real quick and then come back. Because it's a lot easier to stomach a 365 than it is, I'm going to look over there for 2 years, but now I got to uproot my family. So I don't know how I feel about it, but it doesn't matter how I feel about it. Let's see. Next is Air Force news. Continuing resolution could cost billions. A year-long continuing resolution could cut Air Force funds by $4 billion to $14 billion. Lieutenant General Adrian Spain, good dude, by the way, told senators the impact worsens if the Fiscal Responsibilities Act applies, hitting parts, people in training. Spain highlighted the Air Force's aging fleet and low flying hours. Yes, we have a problem with flying hours. We have a problem with the Air Force aging. You guys have heard me talk about the B-1s, the KC-135s, the B-52s. Like they're old. Like we have a really old fleet. So this is a great opportunity for me to plug. On Monday, we are going to release the episode with General Deptula, and he goes ham on all this stuff. So if you want to get the perspective from a general officer on this stuff, who he has been in the game for a very, very long time, go check that out. It comes out on Monday. I just finished recording with him. Robot tug for MQ-9 prototype Towflex tug at Holloman Air Force Base could save the MQ-9 maintainers time and reduce risk. Tech Sergeant Dwayne Parleby praises its small size and dual-purpose design. LiDAR systems cut the need for extra supervision during towing. Great, smarter, not harder. If you can do it with one person instead of 3 or however many people it is, like that's a good thing, right? Jogger killed at MacDill. Are you kidding me? A jogger dies after a vehicle strike at MacDill Air Force Base on Wednesday. First responders aided the victim, who passed at Tampa General Hospital. An investigation is underway with the victim's name being withheld. Dude, that sucks. If you're not familiar with MacDill, it's right there in Tampa. It's beautiful. It's right on the bay. It's right on the water. Like amazing place to go running. They've got a running track right along the water. Then if you leave base, you've got Bayshore Boulevard, which is a great place to go running. I mean, that place is packed with people running. Man, that sucks. Dude's out there just trying to get a workout in and get smoked. That's really shitty. Man. All right, well, hope it all works out obviously it's not going to work out for his family. That's a dumbass thing I just said. Jeez. All right, moving on before I say something else stupid. New fighter drones. The Air Force designates collaborative combat aircraft as fighter drones, a first with the FYQ-42 Alpha and the FYQ-44 Alpha. General David Allen says it marks a new era in air combat despite the symbolic intent. Flight tests are slated for later this summer. Yeah, I'm interested to see how these things operate, especially when you start talking about task saturation. You've got an F-35 pilot that's got his own things going on in the cockpit with people trying to shoot at him. Plus now he is also trying to control these CCAs, control his aircraft, evade, attack. It'll be interesting to see how it works out. I think it's going to be a heavy reliance on AI, but it's, and again, we've talked about AI before. AI is great when you start talking about Grok, ChatGPT, that have billions upon billions, if not trillions of data points, whereas anything that the military has, especially on the secret or top secret side, doesn't have that amount of data points to learn from. So anyway, Space Force news. No, that's not Guillotine. That's his name. General Michael Gutland tells senators the Space Force needs more resources to counter GPS jamming and anti-satellite threats. He warns a year-long continuing resolution would hinder space superiority efforts. The space domain grows increasingly hostile. Again, another plug. Check the video out on Monday. But the Space Force is 3% of the DoD budget. Like 3%. And the space is the final frontier. But we are no shit in the same space, not in the same space race, but a very similar space race with China and other countries that we were back in the 60s, right? In fact, the stakes are probably higher now because now we're putting, other countries are putting weapons up in space. And the last thing we need to do is fuck around and find out with the Space Force, because we can't do anything without Space Force, not just offensively and defensively in the military speak, but everything you do all day with spending your money on Amazon, cruising the internet, doom scrolling on YouTube, swiping your cards, that kind of stuff. Like, it all relies on space. 6 space weapons wanted. General Chance Saltzman calls for kinetic and non-kinetic space weapons like lasers for offensive operations. Space lasers. He views space militarization as a sudden shift requiring new tactics. Per his AFA symposium speech, the Space Force must control the domain. Dude, look at what I just said. We are, and General Deptula actually said as well, we are losing right now. Like, we are behind in this race. Joint simulation push. The Space Force joins the Air Force and the Navy to enhance F-35's Joint Simulation Environment, or JSE. Colonel Corey Klopstein says it'll validate space effects and tactics for joint warfighters. Current Space Force training lacks system interconnectivity. Yes. Now, here's a little insider baseball. The 328th Weapons Squadron is the space weapons squadron, or the Space Weapons Instructor Course at the Weapons School, which is an Air Force weapons school. It really should be a Department of the Air Force weapons school, but whatever. They had an instructor who is wicked smart, who went on Excel and he coded and programmed a space simulator through Excel, who he can be on one computer and he can manipulate things that are happening, and it'll happen to other computers within that Excel simulator. Like, it's incredible to watch. He built it for free years ago, and they still use it today because it is the best simulator that the Space Force has in regards to orbiting craft in space. It's phenomenal. When I start talking about how smart our people are in the Air Force, in the Space Force, like, these are the people that are making a difference. And he could have sold and made millions, but he didn't, because he wanted the force to benefit from it. Like, man, great American. Meridian Fire Evacuations, a 3,000-acre fire east of Peterson. Space Force Base prompts evacuations near Schriever. Space Force Base 30% contained. Space Base Delta 1 monitors the blaze for safety and mission continuity. Highway 94 is closed between... I had not heard about this fire. Man, I hope everybody's all right. I hope everybody's homes are okay. Of interest now, Trump hopes for a ceasefire. Trump hopes Putin agrees to a Ukraine ceasefire despite Russia's hesitation. Putin backs the idea, but rejects the current proposal, prompting Trump to seek talks. A Russian refusal would disappoint globally, Trump says. Yeah, everybody wants this thing to end. It's getting old. Judge orders rehiring. Judge William Alsup orders the Trump administration to reinstate fired probationary employees at DoD and other agency. He calls dismissals a sham to skirt the Reductions in Force Act, with DOJ planning and appeal The ruling may expand to more agencies. I don't actually think that this judge has the authority and the ability to do that. Kind of like some other judges try to jump in and say he can do some stuff, but he actually did. Now, with that said, I support the cuts fully. I support that kind of stuff. However, it needed to be done differently. Like this whole like just sweeping, just peanut butter spread, we're cutting everybody. Like that's not a good one. It's not a good look, and it's also not a good way to do business, in my opinion. So, because I know that there are some phenomenal government civilians that are on probationary or that were on probationary, and now they're in a hurt locker, and it's not cool because they were very good. Trump's NATO stance hits F-35. Trump's anti-NATO rhetoric and annexation talk may cut F-35 sales to allies, warns expert Richard, whatever his name is. Canada and Germany might adjust orders, reducing U.S. reliance, he says. The Dutch affirm commitment, and the JPO pledges full support. Like, dude, it's a very expensive thing. I'm not surprised the Dutch stayed in. The other ones, they'll fall in line. China's Africa ports. A report warns China's African port growth could lead to military bases, per the Africa Center. Some dude flags commercial ports, potential repurposing for warships. General Stephen Townsend noted China's 2021 push for Atlantic ports. Like that is no kidding a real problem. I remember being in Africa, and a lot of you are if you were there, and like you have an American base, and no shit, you have a Chinese base right next door. And I don't mean like a couple miles down the street. I'm talking about right next fucking door. Right? So this whole Belt and Road Initiative that China has done is one, they've fucked over a lot of countries by doing this, believe it or not. And then the other thing is it's we got to watch ourselves, and we have been too relaxed and too laxed on things, and we got to get right. So anyway, that's the news for today. Hope you guys are doing great, and please don't forget to go out and check out drinkhoist.com, promo code one's ready. All right, later.